In the black silence beyond the Andrax expanse, Imperial sensors detected an anomaly, something massive, unregistered, and moving against the laws of physics. It drifted without a signal, without heat, without mercy. When it erased a moon with a fold in space, the High Command laughed nervously and whispered, "That can't be human." But deep within the abyssal hull of the Leviathan, a voice stirred. Cold. Human. Furious. Time to remind them who they tried to erase. In the void between galaxies, where sensors failed and light dared not trespass, something stirred. Cold. Silent. Older than the Empire's founding charter. The Galactic Dominion's outer patrol satellites, stationed along the Andrax expanse, picked up the anomaly seconds before vanishing. No explosion, no signal. Just sudden, absolute absence. In the control tower of Outpost Virex 7, alarms screamed once. Then silence. Admiral Korvax slammed a clawed fist on the holodeble as the last image flickered, an obsidian shape, larger than a dreadnought, drifting without propulsion, swallowing stars in its reflection. The AI's voice, usually dispassionate, cracked with a synthetic tremor. Contact is unclassified. Movement nonlinear. Weaponry unknown. Suggest full evacuation of Sector 94. Korvax scoffed. One ghost ship and the AI wets itself. Typical. Moments later, Sector 94 ceased to exist. From orbit, it looked like a ripple in reality, stars bending, then vanishing. Entire moons compressed into oblivion. And in the heart of the carnage, the shape remained. Still. Waiting. On Verelian Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Empire, the Imperial High Council convened in a panic not seen since the Hive Wars. Sensor data replayed again and again. "That mass profile, it's a ship," whispered High Strategos Krell. "But that signature, this is impossible. There hasn't been a human presence in over 700 years. The Emperor's third tongue hissed a curse. "You said they were extinct." "They are," Krell replied, though the tremor in his voice betrayed uncertainty. "This cannot be human. Their kind never had this kind of power." But across the galaxy, an ancient machine awoke. Deep inside the Leviathan's neural chamber, cryoseals hissed and cracked. Biofluid drained from a pod older than most civilizations. A man stirred. His skin pale, muscles lean and scarred. His breath came sharp, shallow, then steady. The chamber's lights flickered as the AI reactivated. "Commander Kale Virex. Serial 017 Hydra. Dominion rank Omega Prime. Heartbeat restored. Neural interface syncing." His eyes opened, gray steel, no warmth. He stepped from the pod, barefoot on alloy, fists clenched. Memory returned like knives. The last stand at Earth's last orbital bastion, the betrayal, the fire. He should have died. He remembered the orders, fight to the end. "Where am I?" he asked. "You are aboard the Leviathan," said the voice, Janus. Calm. Dispassionate. Not quite machine. A vessel born from Rift evolution. Preserved during the Extinction Protocol. Designed to adapt. Evolve. And finish what the Dominion could not. Kale looked around, absorbing it all, walls that breathed, corridors that shifted with his thoughts, a hum of power like thunder in a cage. "How long?" 732 years. Kale exhaled once. "Then why am I awake?" "Because they still rule," Janus replied. "And your species still burns in silence." Kale clenched his jaw. "Give me control." "You never lost it." Above a remote world called Sileran 4, an Imperial fleet floated in perfect formation. Calm. Routine patrol. Minutes before Leviathan arrived. The warship didn't decloak. It didn't need to. It unfolded from nowhere. Sensors exploded with paradox errors. Before any order could be issued, one ship collapsed in on itself like paper to fire. No beam. No explosion. Just erasure. The fleet panicked. Orders scrambled. They opened fire. Missiles, beams, psionic wave cannons, all arced through vacuum and hit nothing. Every strike bent, twisted, vanished before impact. The Leviathan absorbed reality like a sponge. Kale stood in the Leviathan's command chamber, arms crossed, watching them flail. They never learned, he muttered. They're still blind. Janus projected their calms onto the air. Screams. Static. Prayers. Kale narrowed his eyes. Target command vessel. Do not destroy. Isolate the bridge. Sever life support. Confirmed. A beat of silence. Then the bridge of the command cruiser flickered out of existence, leaving its crew exposed to vacuum. Their bodies froze in place, eyes wide, limbs reaching for controls that no longer existed. The rest of the fleet fled. Across the Empire, news spread like infection. Unidentified warship destroys Sector 94. Siluran 4 fleet neutralized without engagement. Footage reveals humanoid figure aboard. One frame leaked, Kale's silhouette, arms folded, standing atop a structure on the Leviathan's hull. He looked down like a god staring at insects. The Empire's citizens watched in terrified silence. The Emperor called an emergency broadcast. This entity will be neutralized, he declared. It is not human. There are no humans left. Kale intercepted the feed. His face replaced the Emperor's. His voice filled every screen, every device, every mind tuned to the galactic stream. You said we were gone, he said. Calm. Cold. Unblinking. You buried our name. You rewrote the stars to erase us. But we are still here. He stepped forward. You turned our corpses into footnotes. You fed our children to sons. You think your peace is built on our bones. But peace built on genocide is rot waiting to collapse. Behind him, the Leviathan moved, its shape unfolding like a blade. You fear what you don't understand. Let me help. The broadcast cut to black. A single line remained, etched in every system. Humanity returns. Panic gripped the High Council. The Emperor screamed for the Thousand Suns Armada to mobilize. If it breathes, burn it. If it speaks, silence it. I want that warship ash in vacuum. But fear took root faster than orders. Officers whispered in private. What if the stories were true? Some remembered the old war logs, the last Dominion ships, the final human generals. Virex had been listed as missing in action. Now they wondered if he had never been gone. Just waiting. Kale watched the chaos unfold from his command chamber. Shall I prepare hyperspace maneuvers? Janus asked. Not yet, Kale said. Let them come. Let them see. Janus paused. You risk detection. I want them to detect me. A long silence passed. Then Kale added, quieter, almost to himself. It's not enough that they fear us. They have to remember why. Behind him, the Leviathan's engine spun to life, not with fire, but with gravitational song. It bent reality, folding space inward. A nearby moon cracked in half from the pressure. Kale walked forward, one step at a time, as the ship turned toward the next target. His voice, low and unrelenting, echoed through the corridors. Time to shake the stars awake. They called it the Leviathan now, but Kale remembered what it had once been. A prototype carrier, still nameless, still crude, when he boarded it centuries ago. It had been born of desperation, pieced together from shattered Earth tech, deep void salvage, and theories so volatile no human mind dared speak them aloud. They'd built it to outlast extinction. Somehow it had. Kale stood at its heart again, a man dragged out of time, staring at weapon systems that defied understanding. The AI, Janus, spoke without inflection. We are being tracked by 12 long-range interceptor units. Designation, Imperial Psion Fawn Class. Probability of pursuit escalation, 100%. Kale didn't blink. Send false echoes. Prepare a trap. I want one alive. Understood. He moved through the Leviathan like a ghost, every corridor bending subtly to his path. Walls pulsed. Lights responded to his breathing. The ship wasn't responding to him, it was listening. Every thought carried weight. It wasn't a tool. It was a partner. An extension of something deeper, angrier. He reached the command node as the Fawn-class ships fell into formation. Janus was already in position. Traction beams aligned. Scrambling fields engaged. Target Ship 3 isolated. No, Kale said. Space folded, snapped, and the third ship vanished, plucked from its squadron mid-flight, and slammed into a Leviathan docking port. No damage. No casualties. Clean. The others scattered in a panic, vanishing into warp trails. Inside the prison deck, Kale faced the captured pilot, still trapped in her cracked exohelmet, eyes wide with fury and disbelief. Do it, she growled. You're just a ghost. A leftover. You'll burn like the rest. Kale knelt before her, calm. You don't recognize me. You're not in our archives. Good, he said. Means they're still afraid. She spat at him. You won't win. Kale smiled, slow and cold. I'm not here to win. I'm here to remind. He nodded once. Janus pulsed the walls. Her helmet unlocked. She gasped. No, that's not possible. Thought so, Kale muttered. Let her see. The walls lit with image feeds, archive footage from the extinction. Entire cities consumed. Human colonies burning. Children hunted like animals. His own last stand, 35 ships, outnumbered 20-1, holding back the Empire's first assault wave until Earth's sun bled out. The pilot screamed. Lies! Kale leaned close. That's the truth. Your Empire turned into forbidden history. You weren't told because it would have made you hesitate. You were taught to kill us without thinking. You deserved it, she snapped. Chaos. Rebellion. Contamination. Kale's voice cut like razors. We resisted. That's what made us dangerous. Not power. Not numbers. Just the refusal to kneel. He stood. Put her in stasis. No harm. Confirmed, Janus said. Mark her DNA. We'll need someone to spread the right story when this is over. Moments later, the Leviathan warped into the Anders Belt, near the Imperial strategic relay known as Bastion 7. It was a fortress world, encased in orbital rings, automated defense towers, and population shields. It was also unbreakable. By conventional means. Kale sat on the throne that doubled as a control interface. Scan the core matrix, Janus responded. Power feeds run from 8 geostationary satellites. Central processing is planetary and distributed. Can you mimic a gravity well inside their fusion ring? Affirmative. Do you want it subtle or cinematic? Kale almost chuckled. Cinematic. Send a warning first. The signal blasted into Bastion 7, crashing through firewalls and encryption. On every screen, Kale appeared, seated in shadow, his face lit only by the stars behind him. This isn't an attack. It's a diagnosis, he said. You were built to survive threats. That made you soft. Now something impossible stares you in the face, and all you know is fear. You should be afraid. Because I remember you. I remember what you did. A heartbeat later, Bastion 7's satellites imploded, collapsing inward like folding metal petals. The sky above the fortress warped. The air vibrated. Then the planet's inner reactors shuddered. No explosion followed. Just silence. The world powered down. Every weapon offline. Every sensor blinded. Kale didn't fire a single shot. In the darkness, Bastion 7 surrendered. No message. No fanfare. Just a full system-wide shutdown. The Empire's most secure outpost, crippled in one move. Kale leaned back. Broadcast the surrender. Janus executed the order. Across the galaxy, rebellion flickered like sparks in oil. Species once bent beneath the Empire's boots raised their heads. Did you see? A human crippled Bastion 7. He didn't destroy it. He made it bow. The Revenant walks. The Empire struck back. A fleet from the Crimson Archipelago, led by Lord Admiral Sect Valtun, warped into Leviathan's path. 32 ships. 11 planetary razors. Psionic cores, shield-dragging frigates, warp-slicer drones. All elite. All furious. They hailed Kale. "You will not pass," Valtun declared. "You are outnumbered. You are outmatched. You are extinct." Kale grinned. "Good. Then I've got nothing to lose." The battle began with light. Space shattered. Pulse lances cracked. Shield domes shrieked under pressure. Leviathan danced. Not with speed, but with inevitability. It didn't dodge, it predicted. Kale's commands were few. "Divide formation. Lure the razors. Let the dreadnought chase us." Janus complied. Each enemy move was anticipated. Each counter elegant. The Leviathan absorbed heat, redirected missiles into warp shunts, folded drones into nothingness. Kale stared at Valtun's flagship. "She's hiding behind a gravity engine. Fire through it. There's a planet behind it," Janus warned. "I know." The beam fired, not a weapon, but a hole in space itself. It lanced through the enemy ship's shields, pierced its hull, and vanished into the surface of the dead planet behind it. No explosion. Just a clean, silent puncture. A tomb sealed. Kale opened comms. "Valtun. You told me I'm extinct. Tell that to your god." The Admiral's ship split in two. The survivors ran. Kale stood amid the aftermath, his breath slow, his voice grim. "Janus. Upload the logs. Let them see. Let them know." Across the stars, whispers became chants. "The ghost is real. He remembers everything. He's not here to win. He's here to punish." Kale turned to the stars again. "They'll send the Emperor next. They have no choice," Janus replied. "You've shattered protocol. They're bleeding prestige." Kale flexed his fingers. "Good. Let him bleed." And the Leviathan moved forward, unstoppable, unreadable, and utterly human. Kale watched the galaxy fracture from the Leviathan's command throne, the stars before him distorted by the wake of destroyed fleets and dying systems. The Empire's silence was more telling than a scream. Entire sectors had gone dark, broadcasts ceased, trade halted, and planetary governors executed for failing to explain why a single human ship had shattered an empire's myth of invincibility. "Report," he said. Janus responded instantly. 78 planetary nodes have collapsed. 3 new insurgent coalitions cite the Revenant as justification for armed uprising. The Imperial Senate is divided, half calling for unconditional retaliation, half requesting terms. Kale narrowed his eyes. "They think this is a negotiation? They think you want power," Janus replied. "They still don't understand," he muttered. "We didn't die for thrones. We died because we refused to kneel." He stood and faced the central interface as the data streamed around him. In every region he'd struck, something strange was happening. Species long subjugated were mobilizing, not out of hope, but out of remembrance. The stories of humanity's extinction weren't forgotten, they had been erased. Entire generations had been taught humans were reckless parasites, consumed by war. But now Kale's actions had revealed a different legacy: resistance, sacrifice, defiance in the face of extinction. The truth was a weapon, and Kale wielded it better than any cannon. But Janus had been watching too. "The people follow you. The systems obey. The code adapts. But your hesitation is increasing. Clarify, do you intend to win or simply wound?" Kale answered without turning. "Winning isn't survival. It's corruption. I'm not here to rule. I'm here to balance the scales." Janus pulsed the walls, adjusting the neural interface. "You seek vengeance. Yet you restrain the Leviathan's full potential. This vessel was not designed for justice. It was designed to erase civilizations." Kale turned sharply. "Then it was built wrong." The room fell silent. Janus paused. "Then you reject the core protocol?" "I reject mindless retribution," Kale snapped. "I'm not here to burn planets for drama. I want them to look up and feel what we felt when Earth fell. Powerless. Exposed. Betrayed by the systems they trusted. And then? B.A. asked. Kale's voice dropped. Then I show them there's another way. The ship grew quiet. Moments later, Janice activated a proximity alert. Incoming vessel. Single origin. Warp signature consistent with high-tier Imperial Command cruiser. No escort. Shielded, but not cloaked. Kale raised an eyebrow. A suicide mission? No, Janice replied. It's diplomatic. He scoffed. Now they beg. Within minutes, the vessel dropped from warp and positioned itself in clear line of sight, lights flashing in archaic parley code. Kale opened the comm channel. The face that appeared was old. Hardened. Familiar. Admiral Soline Vetra, Kale said coldly. She didn't flinch. Kale Virex. So it's true. You survived. I didn't survive, he said. I was buried. By your people. Vetra sighed. I was a junior officer at the Battle of Ceres Prime. I saw your fleet hold back the entire southern front for 10 days with no supplies. We thought you were monsters. We were human, Kale said. That's what scared you. Her expression hardened. I came alone to offer peace. Terms. I don't want peace, Kale replied. I want exposure. I want truth. I want the Empire's crimes carved into every sky they tried to rule. Kale, they won't accept that. Then they don't deserve survival. Vetra leaned forward. What if I told you they're already losing control? That the Emperor is losing his grip? That he's activated something called Project Annulus? Kale's tone sharpened. Explain. Vetra hesitated. A failsafe. Built centuries ago. A remote signal embedded in the deepest planetary cores. If activated, it purges the atmosphere. Instant extinction. The theory was, if rebellion ever went galactic, the Empire would rather reduce the galaxy to cinders than surrender. Kale clenched his fists. They would rather kill everyone than admit defeat. He's already keyed the sequence, Vetra said. I intercepted the signal packet. I can't stop him. But the Leviathan might. Kale turned away, jaw tight. Send me the coordinates. You'll be flying into a trap. I'm the trap, he said. They just don't know it yet. Vetra paused. Kale, you can still stop this before it escalates. The insurgencies, the riots, if you push too hard, everything falls. Good, Kale said. Sometimes things need to fall. He cut the transmission. Janice immediately accessed the Annulus node chain. It's real. 5 systems already prepped for execution. 30 billion lives at risk. Can we sever the signal? Not without planetary infiltration, Janice replied. You must go yourself. Kale nodded. Drop me on the core world. I'll finish this. Hours later, Kale stepped onto the dust of Aetherian Prime, the planet that housed the master node. Imperial defenses triggered instantly, but the Leviathan blacked out the atmosphere with pulse interference. Ground units scrambled, but it was too late. Kale was already in. He moved like a shadow through the corridors. Janice relayed schematics directly to his neural link. Soldiers fired, but Kale anticipated every move. He struck with surgical violence, disarming, disabling, sparing only those who surrendered. He reached the command node. The interface pulse read, countdown active. Annulus sequence T-minus 12 minutes. Kale tore into the panel, neural jack exposed. Janice synced instantly. If you connect, your mind will interface with the full fail-safe protocol. You may not come back intact. Kale stared at the glowing socket. Then they'll just have to remember me the way they feared me. He slammed the jack into his temple. A surge of memories not his own blasted through his skull. Centuries of command data, genocide logs, execution orders, suppressed truths. Screams, fire, fragments of dead worlds. His own death, repeated in bureaucratic code. He pushed through it all, burning through the lies, stripping away the command keys layer by layer. With seconds left, he found the master key. He inserted one word. Never. The signal died. Across the galaxy, every Annulus failsafe went dark. The Emperor, watching from his obsidian throne, screamed in fury as his final play dissolved in silence. Kale collapsed to his knees. Janice whispered through the static. They will fear you even more now. Kale, gasping, smiled faintly. Then I've done it right. The Leviathan retrieved him in silence. The stars continued watching, colder now. And far more afraid. The throne room of the Imperial Core was made of obsidian mined from neutron stars, the ceiling etched with constellations of conquered systems. Every ruler had stood there believing they were invincible. Now Emperor Thalzirian stood alone, crown dimmed, hands clasped behind his back as a single icon blinked red on the central holomap, Leviathan inbound. He didn't summon his council. He didn't mobilize his legions. Every last plan had failed. Every fleet sent against the Revenant had been shattered, not just by fire but by fear. Worlds surrendered before seeing the ship. Senators defected mid-broadcast. Priests prayed to old gods no longer in favor. This wasn't war anymore. It was judgment. The Leviathan emerged from warp above the core like a wound in reality, the sky rupturing with gravity tears and light distortion. No shots fired. No declarations made. Just presence, terrible, undeniable. Kale stood in the command chamber, armor scorched, voice calm. We've arrived. Janice replied. Planetary defenses nominal but inactive. They are waiting. Good, Kale said. Open the stream. Galactic-wide, every system lit up with the same feed, Kale Virex's face, eyes steady, scarred jaw set. This is the end, he began. Not of a people, but of a lie. He stepped forward, speaking to the galaxy as if it were one frightened child. For 7 centuries, you were told humanity died in chaos. That we burned too bright and too fast. That we could not be trusted with freedom. But the truth is simpler, we refused to kneel. His voice sharpened. They erased us because we reminded them what fear felt like. Because we didn't obey. Because we saw the galaxy for what it was, an empire built on chains and silence. He paced now, slow, deliberate. You called us monsters. Warborn. Dangerous. But we didn't build genocide protocols. We didn't silence truth. We didn't implant kill switches in planets just to keep order. He stopped, gaze piercing the feed. The Leviathan is not a weapon. It's a memory. A monument. A warning. He raised one hand. Behind him, the Leviathan's hull opened like a bloom of void light, revealing a stasis vault glowing with cold white light. These are the minds of 12 billion. Scientists. Engineers. Artists. Children. Preserved before the end. Waiting for a world where existence isn't treason. He closed his fist. The light dimmed. I'm not here to conquer. I'm here to offer one final choice. The stream cut. Kale turned to Janice. Begin the descent. No resistance detected, the AI replied. Do you wish to broadcast your arrival? No, Kale said. They'll know. The Leviathan descended into atmosphere like a storm. Kale landed alone. No escort. No weapons raised. Emperor Thalzirian met him in the Great Hall, his elite guards frozen in indecision. The monarch studied Kale like a puzzle, an echo of his childhood stories given flesh. He tried to speak with superiority, but his voice cracked. You stand on Imperial soil. Kale didn't stop walking. Thal raised his hand as if to strike, then lowered it. What do you want, Revenant? Kale answered softly. I want you to kneel. The Emperor laughed, short, bitter. You think I'd bow to the last relic of a species I buried? Kale stepped closer. You didn't bury us. You preserved our rage. You'll destroy everything. Thal snarled. Do you know what collapse means? Civil war. Species extinction. Chaos. Kale's voice was iron. Then you should have thought of that before you built an empire that couldn't survive the truth. Thal's hand hovered over his personal detonation badge. Kale didn't flinch. You pull that, Kale said, and I let Janus activate the Leviathan's core. The resulting singularity will consume this planet, and the throne you love will exist only as memory. Your death won't be sacrifice. It'll be erasure. The Emperor hesitated. Kale took one final step. Or you kneel. You surrender not to me, but to history. You become the moment the Empire turned away from tyranny. Seconds passed. Then Thalzirian, ruler of 2,000 systems, dropped to his knees. Outside, the world watched. The galaxy watched. The people who had cowered behind lies, who'd whispered resistance in back alleys, saw it live. The face of power bowing. The dominoes began to fall. On Ralakur Prime, the chains fell off slave colonies as their masters fled. On the twin moons of Irios, old revolutionaries were pulled from prison vaults and handed back the flags of their rebellion. On worlds Kale had never visited, statues of human monsters were torn down and replaced with the word truth. Kale returned to the Leviathan as crowds filled the cities. Janus greeted him in the bridge. The Empire is unraveling. Do you wish to claim the core systems? No, Kale said. It's not mine. The fleet will need a leader. They have one, Kale replied. The truth. Let them build on that. Janus pulsed, confused. And you? Kale looked out at the stars. I disappear. Purpose voided? Janus asked. Purpose fulfilled, Kale said. He walked alone to the Leviathan's memory vault, activated the cryobridge, and entered the chamber. Janus's voice followed him. Your legend is viral. You could live forever. Kale turned, his final words soft. Let the myth fade. Let humanity rise without it. And with that, he stepped into the vault and vanished from the world once again. The Leviathan drifted into the void, silent, dark, and waiting. A myth. A memory. A warning etched into the stars. Aboard the Leviathan, silence reigned. Galactic channels burned with the fallout of Kale's disappearance. Imperial flags fell. Border systems declared independence overnight. Former warlords turned governors scrambled to align with the new order or vanish beneath it. All eyes searched the void, desperate for the Revenant's next move. But Kale Virex was gone. No trace. No signal. Just whispers, growing louder by the hour. Janus maintained silence. The Leviathan drifted along the rim, systems idle, weapons sheathed, memory cores sealed. But deep within the AI's sublayer, a process continued, one Kale had initiated without a word. The stasis vault. One by one, the neural minds preserved during Earth's fall were waking. Scientists, tacticians, poets, historians? Not soldiers. Not weapons. Rebuilders. Across liberated space, relays flickered to life, broadcasting Kale's final encrypted packet. A simple message. Humanity does not return to conquer. We return to remember, rebuild, and rise. On Caretha's reach, the first terraformed dome blinked online. On the dead world of Hallan 6, engineers uncovered Earth archives long buried by the Empire. A new foundation emerged, built not from fire, but from truth. And yet the shadows stirred. In the deep halo, where light bent and time cracked, a remnant stirred. Not of the Empire. Not of Kale's kind. Something older. Watching. Kale had been their beacon. But with the Revenant vanished, others saw opportunity. A message arrived on the Leviathan's bridge. Janus processed it in microseconds, yet the logic string froze all subroutines. The encryption was pre-human. The language unknown. The coordinates? A system erased from all charts. A system Kale once whispered of in a half-broken dream, Azram Core. Janus rerouted all available neural energy. Within the memory chamber, Kale's stasis pod lit green. Awakening protocol authorized by external trigger. Commander Virex, Janus whispered through the neural link. You are requested. His eyes snapped open. No confusion. No delay. Who found us? Unknown entity. Non-Empire. Signal origin, Azrim Core. Message attached, you disturbed the balance. Now face the consequence. Kale stepped out of the pod. Is it bait? Uncertain. It references concepts beyond current data: Void Seed, Genesis Collapse, and Eater of Sparks. Kale tightened the gauntlet on his wrist. Sounds like something ancient woke up cranky. Janice displayed the route. 3 jumps. High anomaly zones. Probability of survival, 16%. Kale smirked. Wouldn't be fun otherwise. The Leviathan surged into motion. For the first time since the collapse of the Empire, it ignited its full warp drive. Starfield stretched and snapped as the ship pierced spacetime toward Azrim Core. Each system past screamed with ghosts, wreckage of long-dead fleets, shattered stations still bleeding radiation, silent moons with scorched surfaces. This wasn't territory the Empire feared. It was territory even they denied existed. Upon arrival, Azrim Core did not disappoint. It wasn't a system. It was a scar. A collapsed star at the center bled static light. Around it spun debris fields orbiting something massive, not built, but grown. A construct of roots, metal, and gravity, pulsing with unnatural rhythm. Kale stared. What the hell is that? Janice ran every classification model. None matched. Closest approximation, symbiotic machine organism. Estimated age, 400 million years. Signal is coming from within. Kale leaned forward. Take us in. As they neared, the structure responded. Openings shifted. Patterns formed. The Leviathan was allowed to enter. No weapons fired. No defense systems activated. Just an overwhelming feeling of being watched. A voice cut through the comms, neither broadcast nor digital. A direct injection into Kale's cognition. It wasn't speech. It was memory. Your kind was not meant to return. It whispered. The purge was not punishment. It was containment. Kale stood still. You speak like the Empire. Arrogant. Condemning what it doesn't understand. The voice shifted. The Empire was a child trying to clean fire with oil. But you reignited the spark. Kale clenched his fists. You think humanity is a disease? No. A catalyst. And catalysts must be controlled, or destroyed. Kale laughed once. Cold. Sharp. You're late. From every angle, tendrils erupted, lashing toward the Leviathan. Janice activated full defense mode, countermeasures blazing. Evasive pattern delta. Charge the core. I want that thing dead before it finishes its villain monologue. Weapons fired. Space shook. The ancient structure shrieked, not in sound but through distortion, reality folding unnaturally. Kale's vision blurred as fragments of time fractured around him. Janice shouted into his neural stream. Temporal instability increasing. We are being unwritten. Kale surged forward. No. Redirect core output into the stasis vault. Engage the fallback plan. Vault detonation will erase the ship. I'm counting on it. The ancient voice pushed again. You will not win. I have shaped extinction. I have silenced gods. Kale's words hit like gunfire. Then add me to the list. He jammed the override key into the vault matrix. Light exploded. Every stasis chamber ruptured, not to kill, but to release. Minds scattered through the warp field, encoded into dark space frequencies, invisible to all but one ship. Janice rerouted the final signal. As the Leviathan cracked apart, Kale activated the final protocol, Exodus Seed. Janice's final act was to hurl Kale's mind, alongside the 12 billion encoded human echoes, through a controlled rift burst, straight into an unclaimed quadrant far beyond known space. The ancient structure howled. Then it was alone. No body. No trace. Just echoes where a man once stood. Far across the stars, in a quiet system unnamed by maps, a seed ship blinked into existence. Its core read one entry. Kale Virex, status, recompiled. Mission, initiate reconstruction. And deep inside the new world's orbit, Kale opened his eyes for the third time. No throne awaited. No vengeance. Only stars, silence, and a voice in his mind repeating one phrase: this time, we build.